Hello everyone and welcome to Real Life Talks. I'm your host Yvonne Heath, author of the book Love Your Life to Death and founder of the I Just Showed Up movement. So I have a very special guest here today, Steve Beatty. Yes, you're a very special guest. How do you feel about that?
Pretty good. I have my bracelet on as
you
well.
You do. You have your I Just Showed Up bracelet. That makes me very happy. So, Steven, I am so... Steve, see, I said I'd call you Steve, and I Stevened you.
Yeah.
I am so glad we've met. It was an interesting journey, and it was November 2018 that we met at the Huntington Society of Canada conference.
Yes.
And it was an amazing conference. I was very, very honored to be one of the speakers there, actually. And I did a really good job, right?
Your speech was the highlight of the event.
Did you hear that? Yeah. Well played.
I'm not trying to make a joke. That's true.
Yeah,
It was very good.
But the most important thing for me, and I have to say, and I've shared this before, was that it was one of the most heartwarming, heart-wrenching, challenging experiences for me because I so wanted to share an important message, but it's a challenging crowd when you know these are people directly affected by Huntington's disease, family support workers, people who work, and volunteer. And anyways, I met some of the most amazing people ever. And I actually said, I'm wearing what I wore because I met this one amazing lady named Sharon, who I said to her, oh my gosh, what a lovely bracelet you're wearing. And she said, oh, here you go, take it. And she just took it off her wrist and gave it to me.
Wow.
And I know, right? But I saw her the next day and I told her I liked her jacket, but I didn't end up with it.
You didn't get the jacket?
I didn't get the jacket, but I met tremendous people like Sharon, yourself, your wife, Michelle. You're a lovely, lovely couple. And honestly, I wish that there was a different reason we were meeting.
Yeah, I know. It's a great group.
Wouldn't that be wonderful?
People, yeah.
It is a great group of people. It's kind of like one of those clubs that you would not choose to belong to, but you know what? If you're going to be faced with something, that support and knowledge and sharing stories is, I believe, one of the most important things you can do.
Oh yeah, I agree totally. Yeah. That the community, the sense of community.
It's extraordinary. It's extraordinary. And
especially with a rare disease.
Well, exactly, yes.
It's easy to feel isolated.
Oh, I have no doubt. So tell us about your journey. Well, first of all, let's talk about what Huntington's is. Not everybody knows.
No, it is a rare disease. So chances are, if you haven't just run into it through work or through a family connection, you might not even have heard of it.
Yeah.
But essentially, it's a genetic disease. There's a mutation in a specific gene.
Yes.
And that mutation leads to a bunch of different problems, but most traditionally are behavioral problems, a movement disorder, and cognitive decline. And that's because it causes neurodegeneration, or it starts to eat away at the brain.
Right. So you're saying it only affects you mentally, physically, and emotionally?
Yes. I mean, only those three things, right?
Yeah.
So.
All right. Yes. It's no big deal.
Yeah.
Yes.
But it does. It's unfortunately it's a disease that usually starts early in life. So most often it affects people, or it starts to show its effects in people between 35 and 55, sort of in that range. There are, outliers to that, but that's kind of the average.
The average, yes.
And the other big kicker is because it's a dominant disorder, any children that a person has, if the person has the mutation, the gene, then each child has a 50% chance of inheriting it.
Right.
And passing it along down the line. So
right.
That's
something that you don't want to pass online.
No.
But yes, exactly.
I mean, I'm fine with the blue eyes.
Yeah. You have lovely blue eyes,
freckles,
but yes.
But no.
Yes. And so just to back up a bit, how it affects people, I have read that it's like having ALS, Alzheimer's, and Parkinson's all in one disease.
Yeah, that's a good way of looking at it.
That's what I read. And you think, wow, I mean, that is a heavy burden to carry for anyone. And so you have a relative
I inherited it from my dad. I have the mutation myself.
So you are gene positive, or you're
Yes.
positive for the gene?
Right.
Yes.
Right.
Okay.
Yes.
And your father has Huntington's?
He does.
You did not know that, though, growing up? Or?
No. Well, there was a bit of confusion because my grandmother had it.
Okay.
So she passed it along to two of my dad's brothers who developed it. And they've already gone through their journey, and they've passed away probably 10 or more years ago.
Okay.
My dad kept trucking along, and it looked like he wasn't going to be in line to have it himself.
Right.
He told me once that he had been tested and tested negative.
Okay. So that was your impression, that he had
Yeah.
tested negative.
Right. So I thought I was in the clear. So
Sure.
it was a bit of a surprise when my dad, started with that later onset,
Right.
even more rare sort of presentation. So he's 70 years old right now, and he's still living.
Wow.
And I mean, he's in a nursing home, but he's still around. His brothers, I mean, they passed away in their 50s, so
Wow.
it's weird.
So you would have, of course, because they died in their 50s, and your dad was carrying on, and he had said he was negative. Those are all pretty good reasons to feel like you were
Right.
in the clear.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay.
And I think him telling me that, in thinking back on it, I don't think it's because he was trying to be mean or trying to hide something.
Sure.
I think that was was kind of an early. I think it was an early sign of his illness.
Interesting,
and
right.
it was just very slow to progress. But I'm not angry about it.
I'm glad
anymore.
to hear. Right.
I
Sure.
was,
Yeah.
but,
Yeah. I don't blame you.
yeah.
Yeah. And so you are positive. How long ago did you find that out?
It's been 3 years.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
3 years. And I'm sure I know the answer, but how did you react, or why did you go get tested? Because you saw things in your dad and you thought, I wonder.
Yeah, I was starting to get suspicious that
Okay.
something was definitely going on with
Yes.
him. And one day I just had a thought: what if there's late onset Huntington's disease? I had never
Sure.
heard of it. So I Googled it. Sure enough.
Wow. Because that's even
there
more
it
rare
is.
than Huntington's
Yeah,
itself, which
yeah.
is already rare.
Right. So sure enough, there is, and sure enough, it sounded a lot like how he was sort of presenting.
Yes.
So still, though, I thought it was a slim chance, but I went to a genetics clinic.
Yes.
And told them what was going on, and they thought, well, it's probably unlikely. Yeah.
I'm sure you're fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But let's test you anyway, and we'll
Sure.
we'll find out in a month that it's negative, and on we go.
Carry on.
So I really didn't worry about it all that much during that month.
Yeah.
I rarely thought about it, but so yeah, I was very shocked when I got when I was notified. I was very shocked, and so was my family.
Oh my goodness.
Because I mean, with me being positive, that means he's positive. But I also have 2 kids. I also
Right.
have 2 sisters, a nephew. So all of these people
That's
are
the
now
whole domino, right?
are now at risk. So that
Wow.
was a big
Blow.
yeah. Like,
I can't even imagine. And so I love that. I read, and I kind of checked you out before I had you on the show.
You didn't Google me, did you?
Well, I kind of might have,
Yeah.
but I love that you shared it. You shared it very, like, oh my gosh, I've tested positive, and because I feel like the isolation of a rare disease and all of the other things that you have to try to navigate. I just don't, it's like compounding the suffering and the sadness to just do it alone. I can't imagine navigating this alone.
Yeah, it was, I mean, it was scary, and it is scary. And
Yes.
that's a coping mechanism for me, I think, is to be vocal about it. And I get support from people in the social media world or whatever.
Sure.
Because
yes.
they read my story, and it helps me get support, and we support each other.
And you need support.
Yeah.
I always say to people, like, I've had people say, well, we should be strong and do it ourselves. And it's like, I am so over that, Not, I am woman or man, hear me roar.
Right.
I need help right now. I need support.
For sure.
I feel sorry for myself right now because I have no doubt I would. I would have to have a great big pity party and then an anger party and then I can't imagine all the emotions they go through. Now, you found out via phone call, is that right?
Yeah, well, it's not usually how they do,
that's just so awful.
Well, it was partly my own fault, but
right.
I'm a registered nurse by background, so
worst patients ever.
Yeah. So I felt like I could.
You can handle
it, and like I said, everyone thought, it's probably negative, right?
So of course.
So normally, what happens is there's a genetic counseling component to the testing, which is great. So they'll do some counseling beforehand to let you know about all the risks with learning that you have, this disease ahead of you, because it can affect your emotional well-being.
Just everything.
Insurance,
Yes.
And then normally they'll counsel you, they'll bring you back in to give you the results with a counselor and the physician there to support you, and you have to go bring a family member or a loved one or something. But we decided, or just that they would just give me a call. So I'm at work.
You were at work?
I was at work. So I didn't finish the afternoon.
You didn't? Why not, Steve? Okay, yes.
So in retrospect, I shouldn't have done that. I should have took my wife with me and gone in. But
well, they could have also said, we need you to come in. I'm sorry. I think they should have done that. I'm sorry, but yes.
So...
Anyways, yes. So you had this news at work, and then you had to go drive home and tell your wife?
Yeah, well, I was, essentially she wasn't around. So I went to some friends we have down the street, and I told them, and I had a beer. Sorry,
only
work.
one? I think I had several.
So I had a beer, and my wife didn't get home until a few hours later.
Right.
So I told her right in the driveway when she got home that I had got the result. And
you can imagine how hard that was.
So it was,
Yes, that would be a pretty tough conversation to have.
Yeah.
Yes. But I have met your lovely wife.
Yes.
She's over here.
She is lovely.
She's very lovely. She's so lovely at the conference with you because you, as a couple, have chosen to say, okay, this is option B. We wouldn't choose this, but this is our journey, and you are educating yourselves as much as possible. You said you did research and
yes.
Yep.
Education is key to helping to cope with something like this, because it's very scary if you don't know what's going on.
Absolutely.
Right? So if you learn about the disease, you're also going to learn pretty quickly that there's a lot of hope.
Yes. Tons of research going on. Tons of research.
Right. And there are lots of things that you can do if you want to have a family.
Yes.
Like have children. Nowadays, they are able to test the fetus of a child, and if it doesn't have the mutation, then you can bring that child, and have and you'll know that you have a child without the gene.
The risk. Absolutely.
So there's lots of science that
in
really
vitro, and they can
yes.
I think that's so how wonderful that those options now exist where they didn't before.
No.
But I think it's so important, like you said, when to go to this conference, and there's just a community, and you've created, there's a chapter, like there's chapters everywhere. There's the Huntington Society of Canada, and you've started a chapter in this area.
Yes.
Yes.
I learned, I reached out to the Huntington Society fairly soon after my test, because I was feeling very alone, and I thought, well, there must be some kind of a support group. Turns out there wasn't. The closest to the Barrie, Simcoe County area was down into the GTA.
That's too far. That's too far.
Yeah, or Sudbury, which is even worse.
Oh my goodness,
but,
yes.
No offense to Sudbury. I love the nickel.
Sudbury Saturday night's great, but no,
I don't want to drive there.
Fair enough, yes.
So it was difficult. There's a lot of secrecy to Huntington's disease. A lot of families try to keep it in the shadows, and they're afraid of genetic discrimination, and a lot of really important things that keep people from being public about it. So it was hard for us to find other people.
Well, if they don't want to, if they don't want anyone to know, and they're afraid, and so have people sort of come out of the woodwork with it. Good, thank goodness.
I know, it's great. We're not an official chapter because I mean, there's steps that you need to go through to become an official chapter.
You have to learn the secret handshake and stuff.
And there's a dance. I am wearing the socks, though.
I know, I love your socks. We'll have to, those are fabulous.
But we just had a meeting a few days ago, actually, just coincidentally, and we had, I think 13 people.
Wonderful.
Family, like three or four different sort of little family groups, and
well, those 13 empowered people are also taking that support and bringing it home, and there's a ripple effect there.
Very much.
And that is so important. So people can find chapters. I guess if they go to the Huntington Society of Canada, they can find local chapters. You have a Facebook page.
We do have a Facebook page. It's sort of up and coming.
Yeah.
HuntingtonSociety.ca.
Yes. Okay.
Takes you to the Huntington Society of Canada website.
Yes. Okay.
And there's links on there to find chapters.
Right.
And we are listed in there.
Oh, perfect. Okay.
But
get support if this disease has affected your family in any way. Honestly, just to have a conversation, even if it's just over the phone or something. So you have educated yourself. You're going to the conferences, and I know you're also part of a study.
Yes. Yep. Yeah. I've been part of 3 studies.
My goodness.
Just in the 3 years.
You just dove right in, didn't you?
Dove right in.
My goodness. That's extraordinary. Wow.
Though
Good
there's
for you.
thank you. There's one large study. It's called Enroll HD, and it's something where people with the gene, symptomatic or not, and loved ones who don't have the gene can be control subjects.
Okay.
But every year they bring you in to do run you through a series of motor and cognitive testing, and then they can build up a database of how things change over time compared to the controls. And so we're doing that every year. My wife's included in that too. So
amazing.
We also did a study where they did a lumbar puncture, so they took some spinal fluid out of both me and my wife.
Wow, she is a trooper.
She is.
Sorry, Jordy, I don't know if I do a lumbar puncture for you, but anyway, go ahead.
They look in the spinal fluid for different things that they can run.
Well, that's how you learn, right?
Yeah.
That's how, and you need that research. So good for you. Like, I'm sorry, I just have to say, you and Michelle are extraordinarily amazing because you've done, you're contributing to the research so that others can have a better outcome, and you can have a better outcome, but and you're supporting other people because not only are you doing all of this, you wrote this book. I have this book here.
Do that.
Yeah,
yes,
you did do that.
Mine. Yeah.
In Between Years, and Life After a Positive Huntington's Disease Test. So I read this, and I'm not going to lie, I had a pretty good cry. Because it's, see, I make myself cry. This is what I do. I usually I hope Michelle will cry because I usually make someone else cry too. But you're so brave, and like to share this. This is an important book that you can get on Amazon, right?
Yes.
You can get on Amazon. I think anybody whose life is affected by Huntington should read this, and others as well. And you're donating the proceeds of the book sales to the Huntington Society.
Yes.
You are just too good, seriously.
Well, you flatter me, but
well,
I thought it would be a good way to raise some
awareness,
some money,
funds. But it's important because I am a voice for change. I can't speak to people who are positive for the Huntington's gene and say, oh, I know what this is like. You can do that, and to share in the book you've shared. This has been hard. I've had anxiety. I mean, if somebody didn't, I'd say I would be more concerned, honestly.
Right.
Like, how could you not?
Yeah.
But it's a hopeful book, and you are making the most of your life, creating the best life now, right? And that's an important thing to do, because none of us know what tomorrow is going to bring.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, everybody has their. Everybody has their struggles. I mean, this is mine.
Yeah.
And I'm choosing to. I don't want to say embrace it. I mean, I'm not happy about it.
No,
but,
wouldn't choose it.
Yeah, but it is what it is, and I'm just trying to be supportive to others, because I understand, the loneliness, right?
Sure.
Because it's a rare disease. So and it makes me feel better.
Well,
by doing it, so I guess, which is good. Yeah.
I think that is absolutely amazing. Now, here's the elephant in the room question, because I think this would be one of the hardest questions for in-betweeners. You have children.
Right.
And they are young. How old are your kids?
My daughter is almost 7, and my son is 4.
So, I mean, you go to conferences, you go to do these studies and stuff, they must know something, but they don't know.
Yeah, my daughter is starting to ask questions about, why do I wear the blue bracelet?
Yes,
which is for
HD.
Last night at dinner, oddly enough, she asked me again about it, because I was showing her yours.
Yes, which I have to give her one. Yes.
Yeah. And so right now I'm not giving her any details. She knows that the blue bracelet is something that I wear because my dad has an illness.
Okay.
And my wife and I were involved in raising money to help his illness, and that's what this is. So that's what I've told her. She knows I have written a book, and I mean, I have the book in a frame. Yes, I do.
Of course you do. Why wouldn't you?
In my home office, right?
Yeah. Heck yeah. Are you standing beside it?
Maybe. So she knows that I've written a book. She hasn't asked me what the book's about.
Sure.
But, I always had the thought that if I wasn't sort of actively having symptoms that were affecting my ability to live a normal life, that I don't really have to tell her right now.
Right.
But my thought is that she's going to be finding things out before I'm sick.
Of course, yeah.
So how do I respond to those questions?
You just navigate as you go along, I guess, right? I mean, that's a tough one. And I think that the in-between years, that's even just having this conversation, I think that's such an important conversation for people who are positive for the gene and have kids to talk to each other about that and say, okay, what do you think? I don't know, what do you think? I mean, there's no right or wrong answer. It's just what works best. But to have that, it's like peer support. You need that. And if anybody is out there just, again, in isolation, I just would encourage them. I'd encourage them to read your book and to reach out. And I'm sure you wouldn't mind, even if someone didn't live in your chapter, if they called you.
Absolutely. I get I have people contacting me all the time.
Good.
My email's in there, so
yes, good.
I get people contacting me from all over the world. I mean, not like I'm
It's kind of a big deal.
Not like I've sold 8 million books.
No, but you should.
Yeah, it's really great, and I always take the time to talk with them because why not? Right?
Yes, that's extraordinary.
But the children thing, it's a tough one.
That's all there is to it. And
Yeah.
like you said, then we can leave it at that, because there is no right or wrong answer. And I know that I think the biggest message here is to live your best life and encourage people to reach out, right?
Definitely.
There's fundraisers, you can just talk to you or send you an email. The Huntington Society of Canada, they're just a whole big group of, they're a whole bunch of love. That's what they
Yes,
are.
yeah,
That's
they
what
are.
I got from them. I love
Yeah.
everything that they do. We are supporting them in any way we can as well. And I let them know, and I'm going to let you and Michelle know, I apologize if this isn't what you want, but you're kind of stuck with me
Oh, okay.
now.
Well,
so yeah,
we were talking
gonna
about-
just show up whether you want me to or not.
Good, because we were talking about having you to one of our chapter meetings in
I
the future.
would be delighted and
Yeah.
go at your fundraisers. I'm very good at clapping and cheering. Bring the kids and Jordy, and
Yeah.
we're in this because I think that is the greatest thing that we can do, is just show up for each other. And again, I'm going to do this as we close. Get this book, Anyone and Everyone. Amazing couple, and I'm so grateful that you are giving this a voice. Thank you so much.
Thank you. I appreciate the support.
Jordy's giving me the wrap it up. Oh, you're telling me to go longer. He gives me these hand gestures.
Is that what that means?
Yes, I don't know. He's telling me to go longer. I had no idea. See when I said it's real life talks?
Right.
We're not airbrushed, we're not edited.
No.
We just kind of go with it, whatever happens.
That's the best way to do it.
That's the best way to do it.
Yeah.
Imperfect, and we all have our flaws in our stories, right?
That's right.
Yes. So I think I am now getting I can wrap it up. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Honestly, I'm in awe of everything that you and Michelle are doing together.
Thank you for those kind words. I
Yes.
appreciate it. It's
We're going to hug it out later.
Okay, we'll
Yeah.
do it later. Okay.
So thanks for joining us on Real Life Talks. This is a show about learning how to just show up for yourself and others, and sometimes having hard conversations or talking about things that we don't normally talk about, like Huntington's. So if you want to be empowered and resilient, if you want to be able to just show up for yourself and others, my call to action is always plan your life, plan your death, and then just love your life to death. And always bring your own tambourine to the party.